in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, Marvel had the opportunity to do something great. They had the opportunity to make a strong female superhero-led movie, and it would be the first one in the Marvel Universe. Great step, but the problem is, instead they made Captain Marvel. I've talked about this in the previous video. Captain Marvel, a missed opportunity, strong female lead. This is a recap for that video. I will leave a link in the description to the full length video if you want to watch it. In that video, I broke down what we saw in this, starting with this opening scene. We see Captain Marvel fighting, and what we learn from that scene is that, first of all, she has no emotions on her face, and she's really, really good at fighting. But we also learn, apparently, based on what they say in words, that Captain Marvel has the problem that she's a little bit too cocky, and that she has too much emotions. She doesn't have her emotions in check. She needs to get her emotions in check if she wants to be good at fighting. First off, you might be wondering why it sounds like I just contradict myself. Because what we learn from it, based on what we see versus what we hear, is different. And this is a big problem with the Captain Marvel movie, is that, especially I was shown in this opening scene. What we learned from this and from that video is we talked about the importance of show don't tell, and how in the movie, in this movie, they really showed something different than what they were telling. They said that she needs to hold back her emotions, and we were like, okay, but based on what we see is we see this very bland looking character, and they're perfect at everything they do. So the first lesson we learned from that is that the importance of show don't tell, as I said before, show don't tell, and how in this movie they show one thing and they tell a different thing. They think by saying that she has her emotions not in check, that we will just be like, oh, that makes sense, right? We'll believe you because you said it. But if you don't show it too, we can't really believe it. The fact of the matter is, if you show something, at least you should be able to, by seeing it, also be like, yeah, this person doesn't have their emotions in check. So that's the first thing that we learned is that they messed up on, was that they thought that they could, by saying that she has these problems, that she would somehow have the problems, even that they don't show that she has the problems. Next thing is, going on to that, you should never make your main character perfect. Your main character should have flaws. Again, they thought they fixed this by saying that she had flaws, but they didn't really show it. Flaws is a big thing about what makes your character relatable. What makes your character enjoyable to watch, right? If every scene you feel like there's no threat, well, with some characters, this is where the villain comes in, where your villain needs powerful enough. So you can have characters that are powerful as long as you have villains who are powerful too. But the big thing we learned from this is that, yeah, you have to make your characters have their weaknesses. You could have, as I mentioned how in this movie, you could have fixed the problem by making it so in the opening scene, the person she was being trained by beat her. And then you see how she keeps losing fights, and then she has to learn to be able to stand up and fight. Yes, technically, yes, she does not have her full potential, so, yeah, that's technically true. Yeah, if you made it so she doesn't have her full potential, and so she keeps getting beat until she has her full potential, it would work, but she doesn't. So that's the problem we have with this. So, one thing I wanted to mention is that I was thinking about before making this video was, right, so we have a lot of complaints, and I will put out a video eventually, talking about some good things they did with Phase 4. The fact of the matter is they did a lot of bad things. And I was thinking about it, if this movie came out in Phase 4, people would have said it was probably one of the best ones in Phase 4, because even though Captain Marvel was terrible, honestly, I haven't seen it in years now, so I'm going to have to watch it again. I feel like it might have been a little bit higher on the list. But because it was a part of Phase 3 where everyone was like, there were such great movies, then know that this was just a disappointment. It's not the worst of Marvel movies. I would probably have to say it's terrible, but it's not so terrible that it's unredeemable. Anyways, so that's the big thing we can learn from this is that you can't just say that someone has weaknesses and then show otherwise, and you have to give people, like, you have to make it so your characters are not so overpowered that there's no threat to them. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys haven't yet, please subscribe. This has been the Movie Nick Review. Peter Wary, signing off.